In this section, we're going to talk about a few different type of content that you can place inside your Excel documents. The first type of content we'll focus on is text values. These are simple text entries that can include letters, numbers, and special characters. Text values are commonly used for titles, headings, labels, and name inside of Excel worksheet. Let's begin by opening the actual workbook. And once the workbook is open, you can go to the sheet one. We are on to sheet one. The first thing we're going to do is create a title for the worksheet. Click on cell A1. Make sure it is selected, then type monthly budget. Uh, use your keyboard and press enter key. Pressing enter key automatically moves the selection down to next cell, which is A2. Now that we have successfully entered our first text value into the worksheet, at the moment it is only a simple title, but later we can format it and make it larger, broader, and more visually appealing so that it stands out properly. Next, move to cell A4. Because this is where we are going to create a simple budget spreadsheet. First, we need to column heading, so we type bills. Under that, move down to cell A5, and we will create a short list of monthly bills. You can use your own example following along with these simple entries. Start by typing rent, then type car payment, then insurance, then type phone, and then type electricity. Is it if the text appears too small on your screen, you can zoom for a better view like this. Sorry. So, what's yeah, like this. One quick method is to hold down the control key on your keyboard while scrolling the middle mouse like this. Scrolling down will zoom back out. If your mouse does not have the middle wheel, you can also use the zoom slider located in the lower right, which I use just right now. This allows you to increase or decrease the zoom percent easily. Finally, after entering all the bill names, type total at the bottom of the list. Later on, we will use this row to calculate totals for different months. In the budget worksheet, this entry exercise demonstrate how simple a text Excel can be entered. How simple text values can be entered and organized inside of Excel spreadsheet. Thank you, and we'll so the second type of data that we are going to place into the worksheet is dates. So far, we already have some text values entered into our spreadsheet. We created the monthly budget title at the top, and we also added row headings for different bills along with total row. Now we're going to create the column headers for the spreadsheet using date values. Move to the area from B4 to F4. B4 to F4. This section will contain the monthly headings for the budget table. Click inside of B4 to begin. You can start with any month you would like. For example, if current month is February, so you can begin there, or you may start with January if you prefer. Inside of B4, type dates such as February 1, 2026. So in some regions, the month is written first, followed by the date, and then the year. In other regions, the date may come before the month. You should enter the date in the format normally using your country or region. As long as Excel is properly configured for your region settings, it will recognize the entry as a valid date. After typing the date, press the enter key, and the date value will now appear inside the cell. One important thing to notice is how Excel automatically aligns the date to the right side of the cell. If you can see once again, it aligning the right side. Earlier, the text values were entered were automatically aligned to the left side. This one is the easiest way to visualize distinguish text values from date values in Excel. To make the date easier to see, you can adjust the width of the column. Move your cursor between B and C column header until you see a double-headed arrow. Then click and drag to right to expand the width of the column. This allows the full data to be displayed clearly. If your data is not automatically aligned to the right side, Excel may not recognize it as a proper date value. In that case, check the formatting and try to make sure that the date was entered correctly. Try entering a valid date into the worksheet and confirm that it appears right aligned. before continuing to next step. Thank you. As at this point, we already have both text values and data value entered into the worksheet. In this example, the data entered is 2/1/2026. Now we want to continue adding dates across the row to create monthly headers for the budget spreadsheet. One way to do this would be to manually type each date into the next cell. For example, you could click inside cell C4 and type 3/1/2026, then move to the next cell and type 4/1/2026. You can continue this process for each month. However, Excel provides a much faster and easy method using a feature called autofill. Start by selecting Start by a cell that already contains the valid date, which is in case 2/1/2026. Look carefully at the lower right corner of the selected cell. You will notice a very small square box. This is known as autofill handle. Normally, when your mouse is inside the worksheet, the cursor appears as a large white plus sign. But now, when you move your cursor directly over the small box in the corner of the cell, the cursor changes into a small black plus sign. This indicates that the autofill feature is active. Now, click and drag the autofill handle towards the right across several columns, like this. As you drag, Excel will automatically continue date patterns. At first, it increase the days. For example, it may show 2/2/2026, then 2/3/2026, then 2/4/2026. So now on this happens because Excel recognizes the original entry as a date value and continues the sequence automatically. After releasing the mouse button, a small autofill option button will appear near the fill cells. Click on the button to view additional options. Excel provides several choices such as copy cells, fill series, fill formatting only, fill without formatting, fill days, fill weekends, fill months, and fill years. Since the worksheet is intended to represent monthly budget date, selected the fill months option, Excel will automatically change the sequence so that the dates processed by month instead of by day. The raw will now display values such as 2/1/2026, 3/1/2026, 4/1/2026, 5/1/2026, and so on according to the day. This is a quick and efficient way to create monthly headers in Excel while learning how autofill features can recognize and continue patterns automatically. Thank you. At this stage of the worksheet, we now have two different types of data entered into Excel. We have text values, which includes headings such as monthly budget bills and the name of each bill. We also have data values being used as monthly column headers. The spreadsheet is beginning to take shape, but there is still one more text value we should add before entering the final set of data. Move to the set directly right next to last month heading. For example, if your month header is currently and with May, click on the next column after this cell, type total right here. This column will later be used to calculate the total amount spent on each bill across all the different months. Adding this heading now help complete the structure of the spreadsheet. Now we are going to work with third major type of data in Excel, which is numeric values. Numeric values are numbers that can be used in calculations. In this worksheet, the number will represent the amount of money spent on different bills each month. Click inside of B5, which represents the rent amount. For the first month, enter values such as 1200. Then press enter and move down to the next row. In the next cell, enter 450 for the car payment. Continue entering values for the remaining bills. For example, you might enter 700 for insurance, 95 for phone, and 150 for electricity. These numbers are only examples, so you may enter your own value if you would like to create realistic personal budget spreadsheet. As you enter each number, Excel automatically recognizes the entries as numeric values, unlike text values. Numeric values are aligned to the right side of the cell by default. This makes it easier to identify numbers that can later be used in formulas and calculations. Once the first month is complete, continue entering numeric values for the remaining month across the worksheet. Fill in the cells for each bill and month combination until the table contains value for all months. This step completes the basic set of the spreadsheet and prepares it for the calculation and formatting later on. For this section, we are going to temporarily move away from monthly budget spreadsheet and open a different workbook for practice. We will begin with the addition worksheet. In this worksheet, there is a small table containing a department column and another column labeled as packages shipped. The goal is to calculate the total number of packages shipped by adding together all the values in the list. Click inside of C11, where the total will appear. In Excel, every formula must begin with an equal sign. This is extremely important because the equal sign tells Excel that you're creating a formula rather than entering normal text or numbers. Start by typing into the cell. One possible method would be to type the numbers directly into the formula, such as 310 plus 220 plus 430 plus 510 plus 210. So if you press enter, Excel calculates the total correctly. Oh, sorry. It calculates the total correctly. However, this is not considered the best approach because the formula uses literal values instead of cell references. If any number in the worksheet changes later, the formula will not automatically update. A better and more efficient method is the cell reference, the cell that contains number. Instead of typing the numbers manually, create the formula using the cell references. So this is how you do it. Click on this and then plus this plus this plus C9 plus C10. So the method tells Excel to add together the values stored inside of those cells. The major advantage is that if any value changes, the total updates automatically. For example, the value in cell C5, C or C8, sorry, C8 changes from 220 to 210. Excel instantly recalculates the results without needing to rewrite the formula. This demonstrates one of the most important concepts in Excel formulas, using cell references instead of typing fixed numbers directly into the calculations. As long as the formula references the correct cell, Excel can automatically update and manage calculations for you. Thank you. So now we are going to be learning how to use formulas when cell references in a monthly budget spreadsheet. Instead of typing numbers directly in an Excel, every formula starts with an equal sign. For example, if February expenses are in cell B5 to B9, you could type 1200 plus 450 plus 700 plus 95 plus 150, but this is not the best method because those are fixed numbers. If any value changes later in the future, the formula will not update automatically. A better approach is to use cell references like V5 plus V6 plus V7 plus V8 plus V9. This tells Excel to add the values stored in those cells, and if any bill amount changes, the total updates automatically as well. The same method can be used for other months, such as C5 to C9, like C5 plus C6 plus C7 plus C8 plus C9 for March, or D5 plus D6 plus D7 plus D8 plus D9 for April. You can also calculate total across rows. For example, if F5 contains the yearly total for rent, the formula could be B5 plus C5 plus D5 plus E5. Finally, a grand total can be created by adding all the rows total or all the columns total. And Excel will give you the same final result either way. Thank you. Now, I don't know about you, but creating all those formulas one by one feel like a whole lot of work. Typing formulas such as equals B5 plus B6 plus B7 plus B8 plus B9 repetitively for every row and column can be very repetitive and time consuming. Although the formula works greatly, manually entering each one of them not the most efficient method, especially when working with larger spreadsheets. Fortunately, Excel provides a much faster and easier way to handle this process by using the autofill feature along with the related reference. The process begins by deleting the old totals from the spreadsheet. After clearing the cells, a new formula is created in V10 using a cell reference like equals V5 plus V6 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8, 9. Once the formula is completed and enter is pressed, the autofill handle can be used. The autofill handle is a small square located at the bottom right corner of the selected cell. By clicking and dragging the handle across the other columns, Excel automatically copies the formula into those cells. So what makes this feature powerful is that Excel automatically adjusts the references based on the formula's new position. For example, the formula in B10 reference cells B5 to B9, but when copied to C10, Excel changes the reference to B5 through C9, C5 to C9, I mean. Automatically, when copied further, it continues adjusting to D, E in the remaining columns. This happens because Excel uses relative reference, meaning the cell reference changes it relative to where the formula is copied. The same idea can be applied to row totals. So, it's right. That's three, definitely. A formula such as B5 C5 D5 plus E5 can be created once and then copied downwards using autofill instead of typing it repeatedly for every row. Using autofill and related reference greatly reduces repetitive work, saves times, improves efficiency, and makes working with spreadsheets much easier and accurate. Now that all the formulas and totals have been created for the monthly budget spreadsheet, there are a few useful ways to view and manage those formulas inside of Excel. Even though the worksheet displays all the final calculated totals, the formula themselves are still active in the background. This means that if any ordinal value changes, the Excel automatically recalculates and updates the total without needing to recreate the formula again. One simple way to view a formula is by double-clicking a cell that contains one, like this. When this is done, Excel opens the formula directly inside the cell and highlights the referred cell using different colors, making it easier to understand which cells are being used in the calculation. Another way to view it or edit a formula is by selecting the cell and looking up in the first, looking up in the formula bar, located near the top of the Excel window, right here. So this is the this is the formula bar. So the formula bar displays complete formula and allows edit to be made without directly typing inside the cell itself. A very useful feature in Excel is the ability to display all the formulas and worksheet at the same time. This is especially helpful when working with large spreadsheet or when inheriting a workbook created by someone else. Instead of seeing calculated totals, Excel can temporarily display the actual formulas used in each cell. To do this, user can go to the formula tab, this formula tab, and on the ribbon and locate the formula auditing section. So this is the formula auditing section. The inside this section, the show formula button allows all the formulas in the worksheet to be expanded and displayed. Clicking that button again returns the worksheet back to normal. Let's see. Excel also provides keyboard shortcut for this feature. It's control plus the key, I don't know what you call it. This leave it in the description. The keyboard shortcut it instantly toggles formulas view on and off. This shortcut is a quick and efficient way to inspect formulas, troubleshoot spreadsheet errors, and better understand how calculations are connected to a workbook. So now let's take cell references even further by learning about another important type of reference in Excel called an absolute reference. Earlier formulas were created using relative references along with the autofill feature. Relative references automatically changes when a formula is copied to another cell, which is very useful in many situations. However, there are times when one specific cell reference should always remain fixed, no matter where the formula is copied. That is where absolute reference become important. In this budget spreadsheet, a new column called percent is added besides the total column. The goal is to calculate what percentage each will contribute toward the overall grand total. For example, if the grand total is stored in the cell G5 and the grand total in the cell G10, a formula can be created in H5 using G5 by G10. This formula divides the individual bill amount by grand total to calculate the percentage. After pressing enter, Excel displays the result showing that rent makes up roughly 42% of the total expenses.
The problem appears when the formula is copied downwards using autofill. Instead of calculating the remaining percentage correctly, Excel displays the div by zero error, which means divide by zero. This happens because both references in the formula are relative reference. When the formula is copied down, Excel automatically changes the reference relative to the new position. The first reference changes correctly from G5 to G6, G7, and so on. But the second reference also changes from G10 to G11, G12, and other empty cells, if you can see, G11. Since those cells contain no value, Excel attempts to divide by zero, causing the error. To fix this issue, the grand total reference must remain blocked. To block it, you have to add a dollar sign before G and before the 10, and the dollar sign create an absolute reference, meaning Excel will never change the cell reference. When the formula is copied, the updated formula G, uh, uh, becomes G5 divided by dollar G and dollar 10. Now, when autofill is used to copy the formula downwards, Excel continues changing the first reference normally while keeping the grand total fixed at G10 every single time. As a result, all the percentages calculate correctly. Rent may show 42%, car 18%, insurance 2%, phone 7%, etc. Absolute references are extremely useful whenever formulas need to repeatedly use one fixed value, such as totals, tax rates, percentage, or constants. Relative references allow formula to adapt automatically, while absolute reference keep important cells permanently locked. Together, these two reference types makes Excel formulas far more efficient, accurate, and powerful. Now we're going to try a slightly more advanced formula that uses multiple mathematical operators and introduces the concept of order operations in Excel formulas. In the worksheet, there are several bill items with rupee amounts, a subtotal section, a tax percent of 8%, and a final total that still needs to be calculated. The first step is finding the subtotal by adding together the values of the individual items in cell D9. A formula such as equals D6 plus 7 plus D8 is entered to add three bill amount together. After pressing enter, Excel calculates the subtotal as rupee 305. The next step is calculating the final total after adding the 8% tax. At first, it may seem correct to simply add the tax percentage to the subtotal using a formula like equals D9 plus the 8%. But this only adds the decimal value 0.08 instead of increasing the subtotal by 8%. The result becomes 305.08, which is incorrect to calculate the tax amount properly. Multiplication must be used instead a formula such as equals D9 into equals. So C6 into C7 correctly calculates 8% of the subtotal, giving a result of 24.40 rupees. However, this still only gives the tax amount itself, not the complete total bill. To find the full total, including tax, the subtotal must be simplified by 108% or 1.08. This means the formula needs to include both the original 100 value and the additional 8% tax. The idea is to use the D10 plus 1, which converts 0.08 into 1.08. However, if the formula is written without parentheses, Excel follows its normal order of operation and calculates the multiplication before the addition, leads to an incorrect result. This demonstrates how Excel processes the formula mathematically according to specific rules. To make Excel calculate the percentage increase first, parentheses are added around D around the D10 and the 1. The parentheses force Excel to calculate the D10 plus 1 first, turning 0.08 into 1.08, and then multiplying the value by subtotal of 305. After pressing enter, um, the correct grand total of 329.40 rupees is displayed. The final amount includes both original subtotal and the additional text. This example demonstrates the importance of understanding the order of operation in Excel formulas. Excel follows the same mathematical rules used in general mathematics. Parentheses are calculated first, followed by the exponents, then multiplication, then division from left to right, and finally addition and subtraction. From left to right, whenever a specific calculation needs to happen first, parentheses should be used to control the order in which Excel performs the operation. So now we're done with entering and editing text and formulas in Microsoft Excel. In the next video, I'll be talking about working with basic Excel functions and how they help us perform calculations more quickly and efficiently. We'll learn how to use some of the most commonly used functions in Excel to save time and make our work easier. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.